Greetings, Panthers. It's Miss Waite, your assistant principal, and I'm here to talk to you about advisory class, the one you're in right now. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what advisory is, what we do in advisory, and why you should go to advisory. Those of you who have been a Panther for a while are used to hearing about advisory as a PSP class, and there's a lot of similarities, but there are some important differences. So here's a little information about what those differences are. So here's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're going to talk about what advisory is. Basically, I'm just going to give you an overview of the basic idea behind the advisory class. Then we're going to talk about what you do in advisory, what topics get covered, what activities there will be. We'll also talk about how advisory is graded. And for those of you who have been Panthers for a while, this is probably the biggest change that you'll notice. The question always comes up, does advisory count? And I will be answering that question for you. And then at the very end, you're going to make a commitment to yourself to do well in your advisory class. So here we go. Let's start with what is advisory. It used to be called PSP, and like I said before, those of you who have been Panthers for a while are used to calling it that. We have changed the name to advisory because we felt as though it would the title lets people know what it's for better than the initials PSP did. And also, we are doing things a little bit differently this year in advisory, and so it feels like it was time for a name change. So we're calling it advisory now. It's a little bit longer than it was before, and there are some grading requirements that you've probably heard about already, but I want to make sure you know. So it's basically the same as PSP, but there are some important differences. Just like what PSP used to be, the main goal of advisory is to give you a teacher who is your connector. We want you to connect with one person and a group of students that sees you all the way through your high school experience. We want to give you a teacher that's not one of your academic teachers, somebody that's going to be there for you throughout your entire experience. So if you ever run into a moment where you have an issue that maybe doesn't live in an academic class, that you have someone to go to. That if you do have an issue in your academic class and you need some partnership with solving that you have someone to go to. The idea is to get every single student at least one trusted person in their lives, one trusted adult in this building. And that's the main goal of advisory. We're also, just like PSP, going to be using advisory to be a time for your grades and attendance to be checked on a regular basis. The goal here is for you to graduate on time. And if you've got somebody kind of looking at your grades, your attendance, giving you encouragement, helping you make a plan when it's not going well, then you have a much better chance of graduating on time. And really that's the point of being here at all, is to get that diploma and get out of here when it's your turn. Advisory, very much again like PSP, contains time for both non-academic activities and academic help time. And so it really has two main ideas. I'll be talking for just a second about what some of those non-academic activities are. Academic help time we'll talk about too, but basically the idea is that we want to give you a chance within the school day to be able to get help from your teachers. So that's the basic idea. So when you're in advisory, you want to be thinking about how you can be successful. And so I have some suggestions. First of all, getting help, support, and guidance from your advisory teacher is what they're there for. If you need something, you can ask them. If you need some advice, you can ask them as well. If you feel as though you might not be real connected to the school, an advisory class can really help you feel connected because it's one class that you know will come around regardless of what the rest of your schedule looks like. Success in advisory looks like going to advisory. It's not an optional class. It actually counts for credit, and we'll talk about that again in just a minute. It'll also affect your GPA if you don't go. So success looks like attending. Success also looks like ignoring your phone. You'll probably have a teacher who says that you can't be on your phone in advisory at all, and that's okay. That's reasonable for them to ask because you have work to do. So it's up to your teacher but you should definitely think about forgetting you have a phone. And then success in advisory also looks like doing the advisory activities. There's going to be a lot of different things that we throw into that 35-minute period. So it's really helpful for you to be there so that those things can get done. So a typical advisory week looks like this, and these things will change kind of within, but this is basically the broad overview of it. Usually on Mondays you'll get a Monday update. This comes from the Power Peers, more about that in just 1 second. On Tuesdays there's going to be lessons, events, things that get fit into Tuesdays. On Wednesday, because we have a late start, we don't have an advisory class. On Thursday, generally, is going to be Academic Help Day. That's the time that you're going to be able to access your academic teachers during advisory time. And then on Fridays, this is where we put all of our assemblies, events, things like that. So that's a kind of a basic idea of what advisory looks like. These things get moved around a little bit depending on the schedule, but this is what you can expect normally. During this, you'll find that sometimes especially the lessons and Monday update, sometimes they don't take up the whole time. And so what you can expect when the advisory lesson is over is for your teachers to check in with you about attendance. They might check in with you about your grades. They might call you over and say, hey, talk to me about what's going on in your biology class, for example. Also, they might help you make plans for success during that time. The idea is to give you as much time as possible to be successful. There's lots more that could potentially happen. Advisory kinds of ends up being that class where we kind of just know week to week what it's truly going to look like. So here's what you can expect coming up next out of advisory. So we're going to do a handbook review, and this is going to come in 2 parts. The first part is going to be about attendance, how you can be here more often, and that's going to be paired with how to get help, what kind of support you can get. And that's going to be Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll do a little bit about how to avoid issues, some behavior stuff, and also a little bit about how to get your the good grades that you want for academics. So Thursday and Friday are going to be handbook review so that you kind of know how to be a Panther. And then we'll move into a more regular schedule after that. Like I said, we have all kinds of things that happen in advisory, and so I thought I'd just take a moment to remind you, or maybe if you're new to Central, tell you what these things look like. So every Monday we have what's called Monday updates. High school is a really busy place, and it's super hard to know what's going on if you don't have a regular place that tells you that. In some schools they do announcements over the loudspeaker. In some schools they have a publication that comes out. Here at Central High School, Monday Update is how we let you know what is going on. Monday Update is produced by the Power Peers class. It is a student-led group, and they do a really great job of letting you know what they know you need to know. But it could be that they don't know about an event or an opportunity, and so it's really helpful if you let them know. If you have an event or an opportunity that the whole school should know about, let a Power Peer or potentially Mr. Heineman know. Mr. Heineman is the teacher for Power Peers, and so you could just let them know, and they can tell you how to get an event or an opportunity in Monday updates. The other thing I want to talk about briefly is academic help days. This is that time where you can get academic help outside of your academic classes. It turns out if you're a bus rider, an athlete, someone who works or maybe takes care of siblings, it can be really tricky to find time to get help from teachers outside of class time. During your class time, the whole time might have been taken up learning something or working on an activity, but you kind of need some help, or maybe you need to finish a quiz or whatever. Academic help days can be the time when you get that stuff done. So academic help days are most Thursdays. We try to have a couple of them toward the end of the semester so that you have plenty of time to get the help that you need. There's going to be a video pretty soon that's coming out that explains how academic help days work, so I'm not going to really take a bunch of time on that right now, but you should know that those days are coming so that you can get help during the school day outside of your classes. Another thing that happens during advisory are class meetings. Every once in a while, we'll get the grade levels together for grade level information. Seniors get together pretty regularly because they have a lot of decisions to make as far as graduation plans. So that's one possible example. More information on class meetings is coming soon, and so that'll be coming from from me and also from ASBEC. The other thing that's really important to think about for advisory is what's called the PLP. The PLP is a personalized learning plan, and basically what it does is looks forward into the possibilities for you after high school. It's a graduation requirement. The state of Oregon asks us to have you do a post-high school plan, and so part of your graduation requirement is this PLP. You'll be working on it during advisory as you move through your years here at Central High School, and it has several parts. There's a future plan, a resume, a budget, community service, and there's more. There's lots of parts to it. Again, more information is coming soon. Now is not the time to give you all the details, but you should know during advisory you'll be working on your PLP. Another thing that comes up during advisory for you sophomores, you 10th graders, are vision screenings. You'll be given the opportunity to get your vision screened by our nurse. Nurse Billman will be visiting your advisory in October, so if you're a 10th grader, you can expect that to happen as well. One thing we're proud of here in Central High School is that we really do want to hear and use student voice to make our decisions, and the way we do that is town halls. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know what you think, and we'd like to improve a school for future generations of Panthers. Town halls take place monthly. They give you an opportunity to lend your voice to the running of your school, and again, more information is coming. There'll be a town hall lesson coming up in advisory, and then once a month we'll actually hold town halls where you will go and be heard, so that we can make decisions based on what you see your vision for our school. Another thing that happens in advisory, and these things are coming up pretty quick, are some diagnostic tests. We actually have 3 here at Central. One's called FastBridge, and it diagnoses kind of where you are academically. We also have MySabers, and this diagnoses how you're doing, how are you feeling, what's happening with that. And then we also are introducing a new testing called U-Science. It's part of this PLP work that you'll be doing, and it's a exploration into your future plans based on who you are and what interests you and the innate skills that you have. All of your teachers did U-Science testing before the school year started, and we got a lot of great feedback on what they learned about themselves. So we're excited to bring this to you. More information is coming on that, as usual. So that's a few things that you can expect in advisory. The biggest difference between advisory and PSP is the grading. So let's talk about how advisory is graded. PSP was only graded on attendance. If you came 60% of the time, you passed. Advisory is a little bit different. It's going to be graded on both attendance and activities. Grades are also going to be assigned, so it's not going to be a pass, no pass anymore. Grades will be assigned on an A to F scale, which means that your GPA will be affected by your advisory grade. It also is going to count as an elective credit, and so it will count toward graduation requirements. Attendance is going to be 50% of your grade, so half of the way that your grade will be calculated is how you do on attendance. There's a point system. Your teacher will be talking to you about that if they haven't already. Please be sure to have any absences excused by your parent/guardian to avoid losing points on attendance. The other half of your grade is going to be pulled from what's called the advisory menu. Your teacher should be telling you about all of the options that are available to you, but they have a lot to do with participating in the things that I just talked about. Watching Monday Notes and writing a reflection about it, or making a suggestion to it. Going to a town hall and writing a survey about it, doing 10 volunteer hours, getting the grade level requirements for the PLP done. All of these things will count from the menu. To earn a passing grade for the menu portion, in other words, the half of your grade that's not based on attendance, you'll have to do at least 2 items on the list, and less than 2 items will result in an F. The list of menu items is always being updated and added to, and so you'll have lots of options. That's a work in progress. We're continuing on that. So here we come to the point where you're going to want to dig a little bit deep. Kind of think about what commitment you have to yourself to make sure that advisory is a successful time for you. Keeping in mind that advisory is a graduation requirement, does affect your GPA, will show up on transcripts as an elective credit. You might want to think about how you can make a commitment to yourself. It's a credit earning class, like I just said, and frankly, it's pretty hard to make up if you don't go, because all of the activities are happening in the moment at that time. It's going to be pretty tricky to make that work up. Not passing advisory, quite truthfully, endangers your ability to graduate on time. It's a real class. It's just as important as your academic classes. So let's think about how you can commit by doing what's called a 3-2-1. At this point, teachers, you might want to pause this video. Make sure everybody in the room has a piece of paper and a pencil. You could use sticky notes. This is fine. Teachers, you'll also be collecting these from your students, so be sure to grab them from them. And this is what we'll be doing. On a piece of paper or a sticky note, you're going to list 3 things from the advisory menu that you will do this semester. So teachers, if you could remind your students what's currently on their advisory menu so that they can list 3 things from the advisory menu that they will do this semester to make sure that they get a passing grade. Then, when you're done with that, list 2 things from the menu that you'll try with a friend. Who are you going to bring with you to these things? You don't have to write down your friend's name, but find 2 things on the advisory menu that you're going to try with a friend. And then the last thing is to list 1 thing that is missing from the menu. What haven't we thought of yet? What should be there? What activity or event should we put on the menu so that you could get credit for going? We'd sure like to hear from you because we can't make it up on our own, and it's better if it makes sense to you. So again, on a piece of paper or a sticky note, list 3 things from the advisory menu that you will do this semester, 2 things from the menu that you will try with a friend, and 1 thing that is missing from the menu. When you're done with that activity, please give that note to your teacher. Make sure that they have it so that they can give it to me, and then I can go through them and put the things on the menu that you suggest and make sure I have enough seats in the things that I know that you're coming to. Once you're done with that activity, my part of this show is over, so thank you so very, very much for listening to me. I'll be back on Thursday and Friday with the How to Be a Panther series. Remember, we're here to help you. The point of walking through our doors is to give us the opportunity to help you be successful. That's why we're all here. So we look forward to working with you. I hope that advisory goes well for you. If you have questions or comments, again, my name is Miss Waite. My office is up in the front office, and I'd be super happy to help. Have a great day, everyone.